Alright, hello everybody, welcome to another Stonehearth dev stream. This is stream number 270 something. I think I've lost track. It's kind of amazing if you think about it. 279. And today I wanted to work on some crafter houses and put some crafter houses that Ali has designed a while back into the game. So this is a chat stream, and it is a development stream, so please be welcome. It's been a long time since I've streamed, and it's kind of weird because I feel like we used to be doing this all the time, but I actually look forward to these streams quite a lot. I'm super glad to be hanging out with all of you. If you have questions for me about Stonehearth, about the team, about anything, I'd be happy to take them. Be sure to type them into the chat with the @ sign, or you can stick them up on Discourse. Discourse.stonehearth.net. We have a thread over here in which I look at all of the questions that you guys might have. And in between, let's actually work on the game. It's been a little while since I've done this. My job, I'm a senior engineer on Stonehearth, but my job has taken me far afield to many other things related to Stonehearth, but not actually working in the code. So it's been a little bit of a while, but hopefully not everything disappears. So Ali made a bunch of templates a while back, a revised version of the carpenter's house, and sort of like this wood and stone house. Notice that there's like stone over here and wood over here and a different color wood over here, and then this like cute proto two-story house. And this is the herbalist's house a while back, but they haven't been in the game, and she's been sort of using them in like her concept towns and like to sort of illustrate what towns should look like. But I think it would be pretty cool if when you upgraded an herbalist in the Ascendancy, you actually got a template for them and a carpenter, just like you get one for the carpenter. Same thing is true for the weaver and the mason. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do in order to do that is to go find where the Stonehearth like working folder is, and that's here in Radiant. Just like when you guys have Stonehearth, you know, there's a source directory, and then there's a data directory, and inside that data directory is the mods directory. If you look inside your Stonehearth mod directory, you'll see stonehearth.smod. If you like rename that to zip and unzip it, you see something that looks an awful lot like this. And so like, when you get and put in mods and stuff, when you get and put in mods, they all sort of live here. These are all the mods that are installed right now in this version of Stonehearth. So let's see. My understanding actually, what save games, saved objects, generated icons, Stonehearth, building templates, right? So these are the ones that are actually created on this computer and saved here. Generated icons. I think this is the new thing that Max wrote that actually like creates icons so that you can have subjects in the game. Let's see. Whoa, cancel, that's fine. Save games, mods, animations. Okay, so we're probably looking somewhere here inside this directory. Okay. Music volume. Is the music volume really high? I think part of the problem is that like the volume of the Windows Media Player like goes up and down based on what the songs are. So like this is a quieter song, so it's harder to hear. Okay, let me know if the music volume is still problematic. You hate those Logitech headphones? Like this pair of Logitech headphones in particular, or just in general? Right, okay. Hey guys, I'm looking for questions in your chat that actually have @Stonehearth, because sometimes I can't see all the chat. Okay, turning down the songs. Okay, will there be things like elemental magic in the game? We've always tried to make the game a relatively low magic sort of game, because when there is magic, we want it to be kind of like astonishingly cool. That said, one of the kinds of monsters that we did want to create and have wanted to create for a while, is elementals. So maybe someday there will be elemental magic in addition to just elementals. Or maybe someday there will be elementals and elemental magic. Alright, so a lot of these files are not here anymore because last time Justin and Angelo were working on the Necromancer. Really, they weren't working on the Necromancer to put in the game, they were working on the Necromancer to teach themselves how modding feels like from your perspective. Like, they work on the game all the time, but they wanted to make a mod from scratch just to get your experience and sort of help find out what all the bumps are with your experience with modding. I feel like I'm looking for something like, yeah, building template index. Okay, except that one is from Rise Children. Okay, so actually we want the Stonehearth one. Here we go, Stonehearth, data, saved objects, building templates. So here you have, like, this is where we save the building templates that we provide in the game by default. And so, for example, if you look here, there's the blacksmith's house, the carpenter's existing house, the cozy one, the dining hall, the sleeping quarters, the single cottage. Okay, so we actually have a blacksmith's house already, which makes sense, and the carpenter's house is here too. And then in tier 2, you've got the inn and the tavern and all those guys. Right. Twitch is not updating to live. You can try refreshing Twitch. Hopefully that should help. Okay. So, so let's see, there should also be an index in here. Building templates index. Okay. So, alright, so this is the index that tells us, hey, like, what templates should we have in the game and what templates should we read in the game, and if we want to add default templates to the game, we should add them in here. So it's like, alright, this is for the Ascendancy. You can tell the display name is here. This is so that we can get some words for it for later. And this is like town, categories, camp. Right, so this is like tier 1 and tier 2. And then if we want custom templates, we should display those over here. And then you can see the templates. They're like, all right, show the dining hall, the cottage for 2, the tiny cottage, and then they're these guys. And then the carpenter house is different. It has an unlock requirement, has a job. And the blacksmith house is also different, has an unlock requirement, has a job. All right, so let's add some more over here. In the meantime, any questions? Looking for, again, the black thing that says Stonehearth for me. Is Hearthlings going fishing still a possible idol for later? So it's kind of funny about the idols. We, about maybe last fall, when we were looking at making more interesting idols, we were thinking about what it would be like to have an idol that involved a Hearthling having an interaction, like a book, like a Hearthling reading a book, or a Hearthling fishing. And we decided that they were weird idols because they imply that the Hearthling has something that doesn't actually, that they don't, they imply that the Hearthling has had an interaction with an object that doesn't truly exist in the game. So if you saw Hearthling fishing, you would want that fishing to contribute to the state of the world. We realized that our game has a certain level of verisimilitude to it. Like, there's a certain level of reality, realness that is in the game that should be represented. And so, like, if there's a fish in the game, even if you see it in the Hearthling's hand, even if it's because they're fishing, that fish should actually be really food. So as a result, we haven't added idols that involve the Hearthlings touching things that don't otherwise exist, or that disappear into hammer space when you're not looking. If we did have fishing, it would be as part of a class. As it so happens, we never actually did plan to have fishing as part of the game. It was never one of the classes that we actually brainstormed or thought of. And so I was super tickled, actually, to come back from 4th of July and find that Bruno Supremo had made a fisherman class as part of the Archipelago biome. And I hope that you guys try it out, and I hope that you guys really enjoy it that way, because we weren't planning on adding one anytime soon, and this way you can have that experience. I realized that fishing is a really, like, deeply ingrained fantasy for lots of people. My dad used to take me fishing, and so it's part of, like, that sense of idyllicness. Also, in order to have fishing in the game the way that we want it, it would have to work with water, and that means that we'd have to have like the water service updates that Albert's currently working on, and we'd also have to have have those exposed to gameplay and then have gameplay around that. So even if we did eventually change our minds and decide to make a fisherman class, it would be a long time from now. Do you think people will eventually have to consume water? I don't know if we want to track like thirst specifically separate from hunger. It might be that you could make food with water that would contribute to your food and meal score. I think that maybe one exception to that might be if you were playing in the desert. Maybe like in that case you would want it to have water be a part of that economy. I should also mention that when you ask me questions about what will be in the game in the future, I'm answering them in hypotheticals as someone who has a lot of like thoughts and ideas about what could be in the game, but ideas are really inexpensive. Like, I could just tell you, oh yeah, it would be really cool if water was in the desert, and that takes me like 2 seconds to say, but you know, what, like making an actual design for that, like, you know, takes like multiple days, and that would be Richard's time, and then actually like working on the art and assets for it would be weeks of Ali and Mally's time, and then working on actually implementing the design would be more weeks of effort from the entire engineering team. So one of the things I just want to make super clear is that when we're talking about future Stonehearth, I can tell you my best impression of what I think will happen, and it's as good of a guess as anyone's in the world, probably, but that just means that it is what I think right now, and it has exactly 2 seconds of thought and effort into it, and there may be lots of opportunities in the future between me saying this and multiple weeks of work of all people working on it, where we discover that something I say doesn't work, or something isn't quite right. And so if there's stuff that I say on stream that turns out to not make it in the game, like, that's why. Because ideas are so inexpensive, and actually creating them, like, is really complex and expensive, and you never know when you might find something in the process of working on the first thing that is actually a better way of achieving your goal. This is kind of getting back to also what we talked about, like, in the roadmap. Like, the roadmap has all these features in it, but all the features serve a purpose. So it's like, oh, well, what would be the purpose of adding more water? It would be to have like a more deeper, more interesting food simulation for the food economy, and to give you a better sense of challenge if you move to different biomes, making the world feel more alive. So it might always be possible that something like that has like a different, like another thing, another feature, even better captured that gameplay goal. Right, so Sindiras asks, what about Hearthlings using toys like playing with a chessboard or with stuffed animals or brewing tea? That is a really good question. That's something I would love to see, especially if they were crafted in the world. Interestingly enough, conversations are the first step in that direction. So in order for a Hearthling to interact with another object, it's actually a little bit complicated because you have to coordinate, oh, is the object over there? Like, right now they just pick them up and then, like, that's fine. But you know, like with the fire pit, you're watching it. How do you have that interaction with an object? And every time you touch something and hold it and pick it up, like, there's, you know, all these animation questions, like what will the clipping be? But eventually, yeah, I think it would be really cool if you got value from your decorative items in town because you could see Hearthlings interacting with them and maybe like have that affect their social needs. Potato Man 967 asks how many biomes there's going to be, like, minimum. That's an interesting question. I think that getting back to making the world feel alive and getting back to the gameplay goal of making, like, biomes get to making the world feel alive. Seasons, as it so happens, also get to the goal of making the world feel alive, because you have a greater dimensionality on what the world is. And furthermore, what else do they do? Well, they help you get different gameplay based on different times of year or based on different environments. So we would want a number of biomes and or a number of seasons. I really do think of them kind of in that same space that would like give you the minimal sense that the world was a non-static place and that it sort of changed around you. The ones we talk about are like glacier biome and normal glacier, desert, and forest. So that's sort of where we think to start. But it's possible that we might go elsewhere, and you dimensionalize that with seasons, and then, you know, you get quite a few combinations. Mally says weeks, maybe months. Is that specifically to the, like, fishing stuff? Like, maybe months of work making the fishing work? Yeah, ideas are cheap, creation's super hard. And you always find out in creation that maybe there's a better idea, which is amazing. Reworking that Fisher class. But hopefully, like, all the excitement that people have when they're playing it has made it worth it for you, Bruno. Bruno, your mods are just so amazing. Like, I really enjoy all the enthusiasm that crops up on the discourse about them. And thank you so much for being there and for answering everyone's questions about modding too. In terms, single biomes or multiple biomes in terms of one map? Well, clearly at the moment we have one biome per map. That is how the terrain service is set up. But I guess it's theoretically possible to get multiple biomes on a map. I think Bruno Supremo actually even has a mod that does something like that. And if we did that, it would be with the idea, like it would be really interesting to do that, but it would have to be driven by gameplay. Like, why would you want to have the desert biome right beside the forest biome? Like, is it so that you could get desert ingredients and forest ingredients? What does it mean to have a city that spans two biomes? Is it just for visual interest? Does it change up the gameplay? I think whether or not how we'd answer that question would be determined by what the gameplay benefit is that we saw, or if there's a gameplay need that we felt could be filled by having two different biomes there. Like, for example, if it's like, oh, each biome provides a unique gameplay experience, and that gameplay experience is diluted if you had two of them side by side, or oh, it turns out that the biomes actually dimensionalize each other if you combine them, so the unique gameplay experience of the winter biome is offset by some interaction it has with the desert biome. Okay, let's see. Would water implementation be possible if we had higher income to hire more people, or just people working for free? You know, that's kind of that's also a really good question. Like, you can't. There's a certain amount of like. Have you guys heard of like the mythical man month? Like, and it's the idea that if you in software, there's this idea that if you have a project that takes 9 months, you could put 9 engineers on it, or 9 designers on it, or 9 experts on it, and suddenly it would just take 1 month. But actually, like, it's just kind of like having a baby. Like, if you had 9 women, you couldn't have the baby faster. There's a certain element to which it's true that if you add more people, you can definitely add features faster. But what actually happened last fall was that we realized that as a team, we were each adding features so quickly that the features weren't gelling with each other. And what we really needed was a designer, like a really experienced designer like Richard, to come along and sort of unify the design so that when we added things, they wouldn't just feel like random siloed add-ons that sort of like drop in from the sky and just sort of sit there and you're like, well, cool, I have a building system, but no one ever needs buildings in order to be happy. Or I have a food system, and food kind of affects happiness, and I've got a combat system, and combat and food were completely unrelated. So we wanted a designer to come in and tie that all together. So to answer your question, if we just added another person, and we told them, hey, work on water, like, it wouldn't necessarily make it go faster, because that person would first have to go to Richard and be like, hey, Richard, what kind of water gameplay should we have? And then Richard would be like, I'm currently distracted by working on gameplay, like, overarching gameplay ideals and like, figuring out the overall loop for Stonehearth, and then also figuring out, like, healing and figuring out conversations and stuff, and he doesn't have time, maybe, to think about water. And so as a result, like, you'd get stuck. Could you add another designer and then dimensionalize it so that you don't just, get stuck on talking to Richard? In theory, you could have lots of different teams working on different features, each one with a designer and a set of artists and a set of engineers, but then all those designers would have to talk a lot, and there would still have to be one person who owned that. So the more people you add, the more conversation you have to have, which is also, interestingly, in fact, why it's, like we talked about with conversations, it takes longer to build features because everyone should be talking. So yes, but not just one person. It would have to be a lot of people, and then each person on the team would be slightly less productive, if that made sense, to make the overall team more productive. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to be heard, I'm looking for the mention. So will we ever see Steam Workshop? Currently the answer is no, in part because there are lots of people who play the game that are not just on Steam. If we had a solution for mods, I would like it to be a central one that a lot of people could contribute to. You love game design. Hey Megashub, it is good to see you. When can you look forward to the next alpha? So currently we are on alpha 22. Alpha 22 is about conversations. I'm hoping that alpha 22, excuse me, that we get it to a stable state, or to go unstable sometime soon. It's almost there. You guys have been really good about reporting bugs, and the incidence of bug issues regarding conversations have gone way down. So I'm hoping it'll be sometime soon. And then the team is going to actually pivot, and we have a lot of outstanding individual projects going on right now that have been going on in the background of conversations. So like Albert's been working on a revision of the water system, Chris has been working on a revision of the building system, what else? Ali's been working on sort of like high-level concepts, and Max and Angelo and Richard have been working on overall like Stonehearth motivational arc stuff. And so I want everyone I hope will be able to, I want everyone to be able to pivot, take a breath from making stuff that actually like appears as gameplay immediately, like do a little bit more work on those side projects. And then I think Alpha 23 will begin to like, we'll start Alpha 23 in August, so like in a month and a half. We'll take a little time to wrap up some engine and all this other stuff going on in the background, and then Alpha 23 will be about crafting, is my current guess. And hopefully that will, and we'll find out how long that will take, like how long it'll take between starting Alpha 23 and delivering Alpha 23, when we find out the scope of the work involved in crafting. So that is a long-winded answer to say that Alpha 22 is currently going on right now. Hopefully we'll have some like little bug fixes between now and 23 if 23 ends up taking a while, but we won't even start 23 for another 6 weeks at least. Okay, will we be able to breed and tame animals like dragons or even control the dead? We always have had an idea for an animal tamer class, an animal trainer class actually, and it was something that our intern Morgan worked on last summer. The idea that you could like grab wolves or even chickens and like train them into like warrior versions of themselves. So maybe that would be a really great way, like having that would be a really great way of realizing like Hearthling's desire to interact with the outside world, and taking resources from the outside world and converting them into assets for your town. That would be pretty cool. Are we thinking of adding things like weather and seasons so the Weaver could be made more useful in terms of making certain types of clothing? Yeah, I would, again, love to have weather and seasons so that you would have like different play environments from, like the world would change the way that you played around you. Will we be at PAX again this year? We are skipping PAX West this year because we just went to PAX East, and PAXs are awesome, but they're also really tiring. And so, so I think we've connected and talked about Stonehearth, and we'll probably wait a little longer before we go to PAX again. I'm back after a break from Stonehearth Alpha 19. What's happened at the office? Oh my gosh. I can't even remember when we shipped Alpha 19. Was that last year? In the intervening year, we have changed offices. We moved different offices. We're now on the 5th floor of a very nice building in Redwood City. And what else? We added a whole bunch of people to our team, and we've worked on conversations, and we've worked on traits, and we've worked on happiness, focusing on turning Hearthlings into individuals that you can really empathize with. If we doubled the current team size, would that speed things up a lot? It might speed things up eventually, but if you doubled the current team size immediately right now, even if it was with clones of all of our existing everyone, like we just literally cloned ourselves and then we moved forward, it would take like maybe 6 months for the team to actually realize that increase in speed, because we'd have to bring all of our clones up to speed and we have to teach them all the code, and there would be a lot of time spent like onboarding, like every single person would spend all their time onboarding another person to get them productive. So it would be exciting, but it would take a while. So when a bug comes up, is there a way we can implement a feature that can instantly send bugs to someone while playing the game? Like when a bug comes up, you just click the send button. It's like a bug about building, and I would really like that. we actually have a mod that kind of does that, but we haven't actually released that mod to you guys because we're already inundated with the number of bugs that you sent us. And so we thought we're fixing all the bugs that come in. Barely. No, I take that back. We're not managing to fix all the bugs that you file. So if you filed more bugs, that wouldn't increase our throughput on fixing bugs, if that makes sense. The time to implement a button like that and ship that mod to you would be when we're not getting bugs from you, and we need to make it easier for you to send us bugs, because either because no one is reporting bugs in the old-fashioned way, or because the bugs that we're hunting are now so obscure that we need people to be able to get us information immediately from the client. Okay, Hearthling's not finishing buildings if you start another building during the process of the first one. So what's going on here is that building, like, there's only so much, like, you can think of Hearthlings as like a team, right? Like us, really, like the Stonehearth team. There's only so much work they can do. And so it's possible that when you start two buildings, the Hearthlings just work on both at the same time. If you want them to finish the first building, you can design the second building and place it, but click pause building so that they concentrate on one building before moving on to the second one. What's happening probably is your labor force is getting split and both buildings are happening more slowly. We could fix this by eventually having a system whereby, like, oh, you have to finish the first building before you start on the second building. But it was really hard for us for a long time to figure out whether or not a building was actually complete, because, I mean, you can tell, does it 100% match the blueprint? Okay, if it doesn't match the blueprint, then it's not considered complete, and Hearthling should continue to try to complete it. But the problem with that was that it's possible the building is not completable, because the things that you need to build the building are either not in the world, or they're in the world but in a place that's inaccessible. And until the topology service from last January, there's actually no way of telling that stuff in the world wasn't accessible. So there's no way of telling that the building was functionally uncompletable from the game's perspective. So there is no way of saying, hey, the building is as done as it's gonna get, so you should move on to the next building. So we instead decided to keep the Hearthlings looking busy and having them constantly working on whatever they could work on. Wolf taming was definitely gonna go in. Yeah, I think it would be cool, but definitely is a hard thing. Like, in the case of the wolf tamer, Morgan's already written the code, but it's not balanced with the rest of the game, and we need to make sure that it fits. Otherwise, we'll just be doing the thing we were doing before, where we just stick in features and they, like, dramatically unbalance the game, or make it, or they're on their own silo, or they don't integrate and therefore don't feel like they contribute. We have Tony, a clone of Tom. That is kind of true, actually, and they are, well, I think they've had quite a long time to get really good at dimensionalizing each other, so I think that's why you get so much awesomeness. Like, they don't need to train each other up, they've spent their whole lives doing that. How different will multiplayer make the game? A lot different. I mean, just imagine, like, being able to play the game with somebody, being able to design houses with them, maybe, being able to fend off goblins together with them. I think it would make the game incredibly cozy, and I think it would make it a lot more enjoyable. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people I would love to play Stonehearth with, and I think that I would be more interested in playing if it was with those other people. That's to say, how would Stonehearth change if multiplayer got into the game right now? I think if, like, there's a lot bigger answer that I could give, which is, like, also that if we wanted to redesign the core concepts of Stonehearth around multiplayer, there's, like, hundreds of ways and hundreds of things we could do with that. That's a really big thing, though. And, you know that it's always been our intent to focus on the single-player experience and make a really great single-player game before really worrying about what a multiplayer version of Stonehearth would be like. To be perfectly honest, Richard has been thinking about it, because it would be irresponsible to be thinking of high-level design and not be thinking of that, but I'm not particularly ready, I think, at this point, to talk about the stuff he's been working on. That's really his stuff, and he's not ready to talk about it, I think. No, regarding PAX, I'm sorry. I'll miss you too. It was really cool that we got to hang out that year. And thanks to Timo. Maybe some other year. We've been to PAX West twice, and, like, it's like a magical thing. It's like, to me, PAX West is like a night circus full of people who understand me, and it's amazing to go there, and it's an amazing experience. And, I feel like it's like, okay, we'll give the slot to some other team. Let them have that magic experience. I'm trying to figure out... Oh, hey Canon06. I'm trying to figure out what Mally is talking about that would be in Stonehearth. Ever seen adventure mode sort of similar to Dwarf Fortress? Yes, I completely agree with Mally. That is a completely different game. I wouldn't even call it Stonehearth 2.0. I would call it like Stonehearth Adventures or something. It's a different genre, actually. So, other things. Adventure mode doesn't make so much sense for Stonehearth. Yep. Okay, neat. Are we going to add house templates for the different crafters for the Ascendancy? Well, that's actually really perfect. A perfect segue, because that was in fact what we were doing. I want to, in order to get those templates into the game, you guys have really great questions though, so keep them coming. Allie had those templates over here in this other folder, and I'm going to open that folder and let's see. So she, for example, made an herbalist's house. So let me just pull that herbalist's house here, and then I'm going to edit this file so that, well, we should rename these so that herbalist house, so that it works with these guys, herbalist house. Okay, so right now that looks something like this. Allie is really gifted at many things. She's also gifted, specifically, Allie is really great at making templates that look interesting from all different sides. And the reason that that's really good is because if you only have a certain number of templates, you want people to be able to rotate them and put them down and make them actually look like a village full of lots of different houses instead of the same house over and over again. So let's just put this in the game. We'll copy this block here from the blacksmith's house. So it becomes herbalist house. Unlock requirement has jobs, Stonehearth jobs, herbalist. Right? And then building templates becomes herbalist house. Okay. And then herbalist house.json. Okay, so herbalist's house, preview image, should probably be this. And then the name is herbalist's house. I feel like that is improper. It should probably be I18N, just like this one, but we'll do that in a sec. Right, and then cool, we've got these wooden wall lanterns, we got the house data. Okay, and then dining hall. Okay, cool. So now let's go find like I18N. This is like the localization, en.json for debug tools, starter mod, Stonehearth bug base, Stonehearth. Okay. Right. Is there a word, like maybe like apothecary or something? That might be a better name for that. Pollo House Forever. Is this the like one that looks like a pollo? Like, cause that was really amazing. I would not be surprised if we had your pollo house saved away. Like, we were calling it Literal Town, if that's right. Let's see. Could add a bartender job, right? So like, what? So okay. Here's exactly that thing. So like, what would the bartender, like, what goal of ours would the bartender add to the game, aside from fulfilling the fantasy of having alcohol? Drunk cats. Like, you've already anticipated it. It's like, okay, Stonehearth now with drunk cats. Okay. Okay, let's actually run this. I like the settlement test because it's got like a large map and a bunch of other things in it. Literal Town. We really loved Literal Town. Like it was awesome. Hearthlings from other areas traveling through. So basically like it would be a way for people to hang out with their... Hello? Settlement test? That's weird. Make run. There we go. Silkweed's dead. Huh. That's really cute. East Winterstead. Oh, Elson. Of course, well, this is the build that had, this is not the branch, unfortunately, but this is a screenshot from Ali and Angelo's lighting branch. Okay. But Silkweed's dead is probably a better bet for what we're doing next. Right, so like a way of making the world feel more alive, perhaps. Hey, Coasters Paul. We do have water. Great. Building templates. 2 lowercase of undefined. Sort and update templates to map. Okay. That probably involves whatever it is that we were doing. Press F5 to reset the UI. Okay. Cool. Ah, it needs a name. Of course. Name, display name, preview image, and cost. Okay, let's try this again. What happened to settlement test? Weird. Do any of the tests work for me? Alright, fine. You can see I'm very passionate doing my job. Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, like, you know, I've wanted to make video games ever since I was a little girl. Like, it's what I wanted to do with my life, and I spent a lot of time doing things that were not video games. I wrote a lot of virtualization management software, and, you know, while it's sort of like writing a management game, it's not entirely, it's like writing a management game without the game part, which was maybe not what I was looking for. Alright, so we fixed that. So yeah, I would say I'm pretty passionate about it. It's also just really amazing. It's like, you know, you make a game, the Kickstarter. Oh, by the way, have you guys noticed that after Max's changes, you can shrink the UI, you can shrink the game down to just about any size you like. You can still play it. Microscopically small. I think this is actually pretty cool. Like, we can play the game in a tiny window. We can have multiple games in tiny windows. So, you know, if you want to play the game on your super vertical monitor or whatever, you can do that now. Okay, right. But it was paused, and our goal was to get the herbalist's house to show up. So what does it actually look like? So it's got that front. You can tell this is the one that's in that picture that that Angelo and Ali made. Okay, so it's got 2 lanterns in the front. It's got that lovely wall like that. If I go into, whoops, not slice mode. If I go into X-ray mode, I'll see. Oh wow, it's got like a little floor in there. Awesome. Okay, I should probably actually add some furniture to it because if we don't, then it won't really be the herbalist's house. Like, so let's see, how do we do that? With debug tools. So let's see, we have a bed, we get the furniture. Well, we even have a workshop, so that's convenient. All right. And I think that's the small crate. I want the big crate. Okay, so now we've got some big crates. And I'd also like a dresser. Now we've got dressers. And I think it would be kind of cool if we could have those window boxes with the bright bells. You know, I actually feel like it would be cuter if this bed were over here and this, like, I actually think it would be cuter if the herbalist, like if that entire right-hand side were part of their, like, were their workshop. Like, it's the gorgeous part of the house, and so, like, it ought to have the beautiful things in it. And since it's an herbalist house, maybe it has these guys inside, and then it could have those crates. Wow, I wonder if this is like the best reason ever to have the little crates, because you could put them like, oh. Like, because then you could put them sort of like in a little line here. Right, so it's like, okay. But really? Like, if we're talking about aesthetics, like, let's face it, the, like, the benches are really cute. it's like, okay, like he's got his desk and his workbench, and he's got like flowers that he's gonna draw from, and then over here comes we have the bed. And we should probably get some lanterns. We want wall lanterns. Right, okay. Because we want it to be bright enough inside so that he doesn't feel like he's darked out. How's that? Is there anything else that it needs? One thing I'm really curious about is whether or not having those guys, having the bright bells inside will screw up the template. Like, I know for a long time it's been the case that if you make a template with window boxes on the outside, if the window box is going first, like, it's actually really hard for the window to get built. So let's actually save this as Herbalist House Furnished and see what happens. Okay, well, actually, let's save this whole game so that that exists now, and let's use the console to add citizen. Okay, and then did you know that you can add a chest like this, and then you can say fill storage, and then suddenly the chest is full of logs? It's super convenient. Okay, and then the last thing is we should probably build a ladder so that they can get there. Alright, cool. Let's go. Build it! Alright, questions. I think I will grab some from the discourse, because we haven't yet seen that. So, let's see. Will I be able to answer any questions about the building changes coming eventually, or should I leave those for another week? I can answer some of your questions about the building changes. I can't answer all of them. Chris is really the building guru. Anytime now, guys. Oh, finished editing. We saved it, right? Build. Yes, start building. Okay, let's see how it goes. Congratulations, this building is complete. Right? No, it's not. But one thing we can do is just double check. Alright, so we need a bunch of diamond window frames. Hopefully the carpenters queued up all the things. Okay, all the things should be queued up. Alright, so now we get to watch and wait and see if they actually build the building. But, you know, first they're eating or whatever. And these guys are stuck on a roof. Wow, that's really great. I think literally it was raining people, so they spawned in on the roof. But luckily ladders are free, so come on, you can do it. Right, so I would be happy to answer questions about building, but I can't answer all of them because that's really Chris's domain. I can tell you that Chris is working on a new backend for building that is much more stable than what we have right now. it's really dangerous to work on a new backend for something as complicated as building, but after working on building for years and being incredibly frustrated with the limits of the current system, and with the addition of the topology service, which actually allows for the ability to tell whether or not something is reachable, he thinks, and I happen to think that he's on a really great trend with this, that he's got something that is much more stable and allows for a lot more different kinds of buildings than we currently have. So that's pretty exciting. If you have other questions about building, I'd be happy to take them. Let's see. All you can ask for templates is make one for a storage warehouse. Yeah, we should really do that. Tom has been like, that was the thing Tom promised, right? As soon as we had crates. Other questions. So this one's from Sir Asterisk. Besides fixing bugs with water and glitching, what's the intended endgame result? Will water flow and be dynamic like Terraria, where there's only ever so much of it, or will we have static water spots like Minecraft? I can tell you that inside the water system is the concept of a source that constantly produces water and the concept of a sink that constantly drains water. So we will have the ability, at least in the engine, to create endless water and to drain water endlessly. Water already has a sort of like fluid dynamic behavior to it. See, that's like an animal interaction. That's new. Like, I mean, we had animal conversations previously, but the fact that he's now happier afterwards is new. Linda rewrote the existing animal conversations to the new conversation system to add this. What the final uses for water depends on gameplay, and I would say that water is a part of making the world feel alive, so it should retain its simulation like nature, but how much you want water to impact your Hearthlings is something that we should talk some more about with Richard. Like, is it about classes? Is it about an ingredient system? Is it about farming? There are many places that water could impact the game. Wow, those are really big entlings, and this is not a test about whether or not, like, sorry guys, this is not a test about whether or not we can kill entlings. I play Stonehearth very differently, I think, than you guys play Stonehearth. I was like one of those freaky kids who spent all of her time setting up her toys and never playing with them, but you know, whatever. I can play Stonehearth like that too. Okay, you guys all keep building. Right, so the end result of actually what water is like in gameplay will depend a lot on our revisions to the farming system, our revision to the food system, again, the desert biome, but the simulation can do a lot of stuff in preparation for supporting whatever gameplay needs. I mentioned that the art style was going to be redone. If I mentioned that the art style was absolutely going to be redone, I apologize, that is not what I meant. The art style, we are thinking about enhancements, overall global enhancements to our art style. For example, like these giant swaths of green are like very unfulfilling. Like they're just out there, they're super big, like it's hard to get excited about them. Like we would like to do a lot of things to make the game more visually appealing, and so that's one of the things that bothers us. Another thing that bothers Ali, I know, is like the kind of like level of steppiness that is inside some of the Hearthling designs right now. I know that she would like to do a pass on all of the things in the game to try to make it more visually pleasing. Our lighting system, as we've talked about, is problematic, and another thing we'd like to do is update that lighting system so that it can better reflect that sense of warmth and coziness that we want to convey, which is what Ali's work with Angelo is doing. This might altogether add up in a way to like a revision of the art style, but I would say that it's sort of like an enhancement. What we've planned is an enhancement. If we want to be more dramatic than that, I suppose there's always a chance that we might be more dramatic, but that is where we are at the moment. So okay, are you guys paused because you're waiting for stuff? It looks like they did put the stuff inside the house, so I'm very proud of them. I guess the real test is, can they put the stuff inside the house over and over and over again? There's only one way to test that, which is to put the house down again and play it again. So this time it's a custom template. Okay, I'm gonna build it over here. Wait, we're gonna find out. Is the house finished? It looks like it's done. Okay, so it needs the lab and it needs the bright belt planter. I'm gonna... let's see. we're gonna put down a lot of those because we're about to put down another one, and I'm really curious as to what happens if you have more of those than of the windows. If they put them in first, can the windows even fit? Like, that is what we are now in the process of discovering. Okay, right. Continuing. Right, so I think that there's a lot of incremental improvements to the art style that we would like to make to increase that sense of warmth and coziness. And like, if there's a larger, more dramatic change to the art style, if we're even contemplating such a thing, it's too early to talk about, because, like, you know, I mean, the art style's really cute. Like, why would we want to change it? Okay, status on the Geomancer, Magmasmith, and other classes that you've been told about but haven't seen yet. They live on the roadmap. So if you go to the roadmap and you look at the dev blog, or if you go to the dev blog and you look at the roadmap, you'll see Geomancer, Engineer, and Magmasmith. They're all down here. They're proposed features under making classes distinct and useful, and their current status is they're sitting here in the list until Richard has a chance to go back and do a pass on what classes are and what they mean to the game. Let's see. All right, they're still building. That's good. And maybe they're also super hungry. I really like roast mutton. So, you know, just in case they run out of food or something. What else do we want? Let's see. More questions? So, original Kickstarter pets even still a thing, or they have been scrapped? We built them. They're still here. On our developer builds, when you play the game as a dev, you'll see the Kickstarter animals. But we always meant for them to be sort of like a cherry at the end of the development. So they're still planned, but I would not hold your breath for them. I would say that, like, they're a thing that we would include to dimensionalize the pets that we plan to put in the game, and we are doing pets, little bits and pieces. Like, we just added pet interactions, but there's probably you know, a lot more coming with regards to pets, and then the Kickstarter pets will just be a natural evolution of that. Did we kill Tom and Tony? No. That would be incredibly unwise. They're around. They work at a higher level, I would say. They're sort of like our studio liaison between, like, our studio and the rest of Riot, and Tom is the studio lead for our whole studio. So we still see him a lot, and he has been playing Stonehearth, and he's just not, like, deeply involved in the day-to-day building of the game, and neither is Tony, and so it's harder for them to give you updates and to do stuff like this. Let's see. Taking a few questions from here. You like that we do weekly streams and we show you the stuff? Thank you. I really enjoy doing the weekly streams and hanging out with all of you guys, so I'm glad that you enjoy it too. Play multiple Stonehearth worlds at once for full RTS panic. Yeah, you have fun with that. Go do that. That would be super awesome. Send me a video. Gonna need some storage in there, right? Let's see. Would it make sense for the herbalist to have an extra bed so they could treat their patients but also have a bed to sleep in? That's a really good idea, actually. That's really, really cute. And it's like, oh, it would be right there, inside the, like, lab area. Okay, let's have them build this house and then we'll check out other furniture things. You put all the potions lined up on the ground behind a single building for quick access. Yeah, I do that too. If the others add glowing bright bells, will the bright bell planters glow too? That's hopefully? I don't really know. That would be pretty awesome. Will we have a mayor house or so, like a leader with a job locked to one person? Like a mayor class, I guess? I guess that's a possibility, but again, sort of like, what purpose would it serve, and how would it make the game cooler? Sort of the general answer. Okay, so here we have an example of the windows having gone in first. Huh, they're having this conversation about how much they dislike the windows. And we're waiting on the carpenter probably making those windows. Okay, but we have confirmed that the bright bell boxes are in there first, so let's make the tall windows. Let's see, portals, wooden window frame, fine. Wooden frame wide, wooden frame tall. So now if we had a bunch of those, will they put them in? Okay, they put that one in, that's exciting. You can do it, guys! Awesome. Come over here. I don't like those wooden window frames. Are you kidding? Those wooden window frames are really cool. Oh my gosh. Now you've made me consider though. Now I really like them. You've changed my mind? Okay, that conversation didn't make so much sense. Let's see. The Timo says, can you get a shout out? You'll be streaming Stonehearth a lot again? Currently going to work on the trading company style town? That would be pretty awesome. I would love to see that. Literal town was amazing, so I look forward to see what's going on with your trading town. That would be very cool. Yeah, so that's what Albert is trying to fix, the water. Like, and the fact that the game crashes when you get too creative with the water. Let's see, conversations about destructible buildings, consideration about building decay. Probably not, like, would be my guess. Like, buildings maybe burning down would be more exciting than building decaying, or buildings falling down due to storms or something. But not just they're sitting there and then they decay. I think that would be, well, who knows? It's a possibility, but I think it's relatively unlikely just because it would be kind of like a slog. Like, what's exciting is building a new building. Less exciting is fixing a building you've already built, perhaps. Will the engineer ever be able to level up his turrets more? Late game, they're totally useless. I agree. That would be really cool. Not for a while. Not till we get back to, like, not till we get back to, fixing the classes and fixing combat. Okay, so I think that the answer to the question is that yes, they're able to build the herbalist's house. And maybe another interesting question is, what would the herbalist's house be like if it actually had a bed inside of it for that second person? So in order to answer that question, how would that be set up? To really make it clear that this was your bed and not my bed. Like, it's like, oh, we're convalescing or whatever. Maybe like, so we'll have a crate that's full of goods, and then we'll still go ahead and put this over here. Actually, maybe we do this. Right. Let me put the lamp up here. And then it's just one window box then, because so it's like, okay, this is my work area. I like having that rug there. It's sort of cozy, right? Like, then it's more like, oh, like we're tending the patient, like we could actually even put a chair here, so it's sort of like, oh, someone's visiting. So it's like, okay, you visit the person who's in bed. I mean, this is really just kind of theoretical because you know that, like, you will have to assign the beds appropriately. And then in the meantime, excuse me. Got their bed, and you got their cabinet. That kind of works. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. I'm not interested in handling you right now. Okay. Where were we? So I feel like this is very pure and very straightforward. Oh, I think they must not have made the little ones that go on the side there. But this is very pure and straightforward. This looks fantastic. This is like telling an interesting story about furniture. Sorry, where is it? This one. This is telling an interesting story with furniture. And it almost makes me kind of wonder if... Let's put this over here. Like, I really like those 3 planters on the inside. Add a bench, like for a waiting room, or a table with a couple of chairs where the doctor can talk to the patients. Yeah, that makes sense too. Part of you hates the asymmetrical window boxes. Good night, Bruno. Thank you for being here. Let's see. How long can we alpha with our current money income? That's an interesting question too. I don't really know how to answer that. I think it's because our finances got kind of like incredibly more awesome and at the same time more complicated after we joined Riot. So let's just punt on that question, because any answer I gave you wouldn't actually track, I think, or wouldn't correlate. So I guess to answer the spirit of the question, we are not worried about income or finances or running out of money at the moment. It's pretty awesome, and I'm very grateful. So if this was here, does it feel bad? Like, I mean, it's not like the herbalist is actually gonna have to take, like, plants out of that box in order to help the person who's in the bed. You like it centered on the floor? Like, you like the mat centered on the floor? Would I consider making a separate building for patients, like a tiny clinic? I will leave that to you guys, I think. Or at least I will leave it to until we actually have an update that talks more about medicine. Can also line up 2 rugs touching in a row. That's true. That's also really cute. So like, we could do this. And then we could do that. And it's sort of, that's actually kind of nice, because it says like, hey, this herbalist is having this, like, you know, is going to be working with this patient, and it sort of like cues that visually. Okay, cool. Let's save this again. Finished editing. Save. Herbalist Furniture House 2. Click OK, and then let's make sure that they can build it. We added a bunch of planter boxes, we added a bunch of windows. Let's see, what else do they need? Diamond window frames. Simple wooden chair, they'll need more logs. They've got logs. Okay. Wooden door, mean bed. So those are all things the carpenter can craft. I'm not worried about that. Cool. Alright. Let's let them go. Set it on the floor. Move the chair back. Oh, move the chair. Yeah, whoops, I forgot to move the chair back. Flipping it 90 degrees. Chair! The chair's in the middle of the path that looks so strange. You are totally right. Combat? Oh, right, sorry. Jeez. You guys! I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I don't care. Go make that house. But you were right that the chair is in the wrong location. So let's go back here for Herbalist Furniture House 2. Yeah, okay. Finished editing. Save. Oh geez, the other thing we forgot was to add the window boxes to the outside. Okay, cool. How many window boxes did we want? I think that's right. How about these guys? Cool. Alright. That seems good. That way it's not symmetrical. Finished editing. Save again. Herbalist Furniture House number 4. You guys are good. Thank you for keeping an eye on it. Alright, let's build this. Oh no. How did she die? Is it because we didn't have enough herbalists? Plant pots would be cute, I agree. Well, let's see, so we don't have enough wood. Alright. I feel like the other thing we should do is take a good picture of the herbalist's house. So let's pause the game right here and check out the pictures for all the other houses, because it's important that they all be facing the right direction. Okay, so basically the house needs to have the shadow pointing in this direction, so we want to take the house with this background, but not have some shadow on it. So that means that we are going to take this herbalist house that we just built, the one with number 4, and we're going to build it like out here, like this, and then go back to here, check out. Alright, so we want this angle on it, yeah, and then that way we get windows from 2 different sides. And then let's put down some trees. But play the game normally, like, but why? I'm having such a great time. Silkweed. Let's see. Plants. Insta-build. My favorite command. We'll wait for this giant cloud texture to pass. Wait for the shadow to shrink. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. And then, let's see, Alt-Z, and then Alt, and then print screen. Okay, Alt-Z brings this back. Photoshop. What are the specs of this computer? It's a beast of a computer, I admit. Corey says there's some network stuff happening now. Should shut down the stream or it might just happen. He's gonna ask them to keep it up for 5 minutes so I can end it. Alright, he bought you 10 more minutes. Wow. 7:20. Okay guys, it sounds like we're being shut down. 7:20, not bad. Thank you, Corey. And thank you, Mally, for telling Corey, because I'm sure that that's how that happened. Okay. So, shutting down the stream means answering whatever questions you guys have and ending in like 5 minutes so that we don't accidentally get everything shut down. Let's see. Let's see. You both listen to people, show that you like the game you create, and take time to interact with us? Well, because you're super cool, and I really do like the game that I create. So I'm glad that it works out for everybody. Whatever happened to the rabbit people, the Northern Alliance, and other races? These dudes also live on the roadmap, and they live under their sections. It's just that we're revising core systems, and so it's going to be, like, if we're revising everything that we have. Okay, so the reason we needed to revise core systems is because we tried to add this stuff, and it just felt like extras instead of, like, enhancing the content. So we need to go back and knit all the core systems together, and then we can add these dudes back in. Why do the Ascendancy have winter worker outfits and pervert them to the upgraded worker outfits, yet Rise Children don't? This is because Tom was making winter worker outfits one night on stream, and yeah, I don't know. What's the real point of the cultist trait, and what do we all plan to take it? The real purpose of the cultist trait. Okay, everyone, if you don't want to know what the real purpose of the cultist trait is, cause it's actually super boring, just close your ears right now or skip forward a couple seconds on the stream. The real purpose of the cultist trait was to test out that traits were working. And we were like, okay, we need a trait that is interesting, but like doesn't actually have an immediate gameplay effect at the moment, but can tell a really great story. And so that's what the purpose of the cultist trait is. That's not necessarily what it's going to be forever, but that is what it is at the moment that we put it in, and that is what it does now. It also serves to tell some really good stories, I think, about bunny cultists, and we joke about bunny cultists, so who knows what it could become. You can start listening again. My pleasure for the dev stream. Have a way for people to give us tips. This relates back to our financial question. We are in a happy position of not needing tips at the moment, so please give your money to people who need tips. I feel very strongly about that. Yes, they're still alive. When stream 300 rolls around, it could be a big combined stream. That's like another 20 streams from now or something. It would be cool for you to see them to prove that they're still alive. That would be... Alright, we will consider. Maybe it would be kind of cool to get... The room's really big. Maybe we could get the whole team in here and see where that goes. Idea lizard folk. If we got a lot of models for a concept, would there be any chance of them being added? Free models, though I doubt this will happen. I would say that if you have a bunch of really cool models, then you should add them as a mod for your own mod to the game. And that way you would be able to say, hey, I made this mod, it has all these models, and it's complete in this way. So don't look to us to add them, I think, off the top of my head. Look for other people in the community to help you out. I think we will stay on that line at the moment and keep going. We are not looking to add more lizard folk at the moment or anything like that anyway. When will terrain generation be enhanced? in this vein. So like when we get to places like new biomes and new weather and new seasons and stuff, I think that's when we would look at terrain generation again. Crossbows. We're at longbows at the moment because that's sort of Stonehearth's time, but who knows. Priority system for tasks. We think that there could be a lot of merit to a priority system. We talk about it a lot. How and when it gets implemented depends a lot on Richard's design for systems and how we could work it back through the AI. Okay, I think that's probably the end. I should probably close it down now so that it doesn't get closed down for me. But guys, I really enjoy streaming. I really enjoy hanging out with you. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks so much for spending time with us. You can find Stonehearth on Steam. You can find us on the Discourse. Feel free to continue to add your questions, and maybe we can get to them at a future stream or talk about them here or on a Desktop Tuesday. Have a nice night, guys. See you later. Okay. XSplit.